Hello everyone, welcome to this night's episode of the Six-Sided Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, the Taxman, and I'm joined by two wonderful guests this evening, but before I get to that, I just want to say if you are listening to this on YouTube right now, that'd be youtube.com/c/six-sided podcast. Please make sure you hit that bright red subscribe button. Make sure that you throw a like on this one and leave a comment, because honestly, myself and my two guests that you're going to hear in just a minute really do enjoy interacting with the wrestling community, if you will. Not so much some of the outspoken ones, but we're going to tackle that in a second as well. Likewise, if you're streaming this or downloading it from one of your various favorite podcasting services like Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, iHeartRadio, essentially wherever you buy, sell, steal, barter, whatever your favorite podcast, make sure you subscribe on there and leave us a 5-star review if possible. So like I said, I'm joined by two special guests tonight, one of which, all the way from the center of the universe, the big smoke itself, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, my boy Jimmy. Jimmy, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very good myself, thank you very much. And I'm going to take a deep breath in so I can get this next one out. We're joined by Miss Beauty Slam, Queen of the South, leader of the Sparkle Army, the Southern Roll Tide Belle herself, Miss Jenna.
Hola!
All the way from Mobile, Alabama.
Roll, Tide, roll.
So we got kind of a motley crew here, but we have a motley couple of subjects to discuss. Both of which are big in the endearing realm of women's wrestling. So let's chop this up real quick, because I know there's going to be a lot of fun. So the first one we're going to tackle, obviously the big headlines, is the Nia Jax unfortunate facial destruction, we'll say, of Becky Lynch. If you've been living under a rock, or you've been out of cell phone service, or maybe you've been, fishing with polar bears or some shit, I don't fucking know. But if you missed it, on Monday night, SmackDown essentially had their women's roster invade Raw, and there was a big what to do, as it were, in the middle of the ring. And unfortunately, Nia Jax caught Becky Lynch with a shot right in the face, broke her nose, and caused a concussion. So that means Becky Lynch is out of Survivor Series this coming weekend. I'd like to start with Jimmy on this one. Jimmy, I know that you saw it. I'm curious what you thought about it, and what you've been thinking about a lot of the backlash that's been happening from it.
Man, I don't know. Like, yes, Becky got injured, but come on, man, it's not that bad. Like, that Becky had a match. Like, Becky right now is on the hot and a man gimmick. Like, she is the shit on that, right? So for them to say, no, Becky, you can't do it because of that, it's like, oh man, that sucks, right? I think people forget that Nia Jax is a big girl who can actually kick somebody's ass in real life. So these fans who are telling Nia Jax that you're unsafe, if you're fired, what about Sasha Banks? What about Seth Rollins? Right? So, like, it's just funny that people forget that Nia Jax is big and Becky is a tiny girl. So I'm not shocked that Nia Jax kind of hit her that hard. You know what I mean? It's like, that is going to happen. Come on, like, you got a big girl and a tiny girl. What is going to happen? It just common sense, right? I'm kind of sad that Becky will not have the match, because Becky right now, what she did to Ronda Rousey on Monday Night Raw was amazing. Like, she was just so badass. And I hate it that Charlotte is going to give her chance to face Ronda Rousey. That pissed me off, okay? So it's like, fuck. Really? Charlotte again? Somehow Charlotte gets pushed to the top again. So it's like, man, I'm not happy. But I think that once Becky knows get heat up and stuff, probably you might see Nia Jax against Becky in I don't know, some type of match. That should happen soon. So I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I want to circle back to your Sasha Banks and Charlotte comment in a second because I got something to say about that as well. But I want to get your thoughts as well too here, Miss Jenna. What did you think of it, and is it as bad as some people are making it out to seem?
At first, my first thought was, okay, here we go again with Nia being incredibly reckless, incredibly careless, and incredibly inept. Because honestly, you know, you and I have talked about this, and I am definitely of the belief that Nia consistently gets her push and her shine because of her connection to The Rock, and not really so much what she can do in the ring. And at first, I was of the belief that this was just absolute clumsiness, and just the more I watch it, the more my tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist comes out, and the more I wonder if there wasn't underlying cattiness there. And I'm not saying that it was, but I'm saying it's possible. Because, I mean, realistically, they're trained to pull their punches. So even if you're trying to go for kayfabe and make it look real, to swing that hard, to hit that hard, and I know head injuries bleed a lot more, and I get that. But, I mean, Ronda Rousey spent her entire career being trained to not pull punches, and with very little training in the ring can make it look believable. So how hard was Nia's swing that when she, quote-unquote, failed, she hit that hard? I'm torn on this. I want to believe it was an honest accident. I want to believe that it was... But I just have that nagging feeling because... And I was talking online with someone about this. They said, oh, all of the women in the women's division, they get along great. And I said, I think the idea of all of the women in the women's divisions getting along is quite possibly the last standing vestige of kayfabe. As someone who has worked in women-only industries, it just does not happen that way. Women are, and I'm going to tell from all the Tumblrina feminists for this, but women are catty, women are cutthroat, women are competitive, women are willing to do anything to tear another woman down if they feel even a little bit threatened. And Nia is surrounded by better talent. Nia is, you know, she has built her entire character on her body shape. You know, how many posts has she made talking about, I won't tolerate body shaming, and you won't make me feel bad, and how many times do people say, who's saying anything? Who said it, you know? And it just seems like her entire career has been born of her feeling like she needs to overcompensate. Like there have been so many, I'm not like most girls, I'm a curvy chick, and I'm this, and I'm that. Like, we know I'm a big girl, but I don't feel like I need to announce it every time I enter a room, like, hey guys, I really like nachos. By the way, you know, like, it's not necessary to constantly reiterate that unless it's something that's eating away at you. And I just feel like there's that part of Nia is still very insecure, very unsure about her place in things. And as Becky skyrockets and gets better and better, as Ronda continues to improve, and as the women of NXT continue to improve, where Nia fits in is becoming harder and harder to see, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think it makes total sense. So the point that Jimmy brought up about Sasha Banks is something I'm going to touch on here, and I promise you, Jimmy, that we're going to circle back to that Charlotte thing, because I got a piece of or a piece of my mind, if you will, that I think you especially might be able to relate to. But I'm just going to run down in the past, and I'm going recent memory here, everyone. So everyone, you know, like, or obviously you can send your hate tweets to @6_podcast. It's fine, but I'm just saying in the recent realm of wrestling, the last 20 years, except for one match, which you'll understand why I say it. But so in the past 20 years, obviously there's been other wrestling, we'll say, injuries that have happened in the ring. So first one I'm going to talk about is back in '94, Sting ended Rick Rude's career over in Japan. There was a missed tope. Rick Rude busted his back from it, and he was done. That was his career. Nobody ever came out and said that Sting was reckless and should be out of the wrestling business and things of that nature, right? Owen Hart, we all know he broke Steve Austin's neck with that ill-advised pile driver. Nobody ever said that Owen Hart should be out of the wrestling business, right? Goldberg ended Bret Hart's career. That's our favorite, Jenna. Was Goldberg green? Yeah. Did he have a lot to learn in the wrestling business? Yeah. Did anybody say, "Hey, Goldberg, get the fuck out of the wrestling business"? No. Right. And I know I'm getting a little bit long for him here, but I'm building to a point. Trust me. D'Lo Brown, he paralyzed Draws on a botched powerbomb. Now, half of it was D'Lo's fault, and half of it was Draws' fault. But the end result is that Draws is now paralyzed as such, has been and will be for the rest of his life. Nobody's ever said anything about D'Lo Brown except that he's the nicest guy that anybody's ever worked with, a dream to work with in the ring, and one of the safest guys. But once again, things happen in the ring. Even Chris Jericho's not immune to this. Everybody will remember back in the mid-2000s when he knocked HBK's wife out in the middle of their program, right? It's just something that happened, but nobody would ever dare say that Chris Jericho is a woman beater or is reckless and dangerous and should be out of wrestling, right? Samoa Joe breaking Tyson's kid neck, or Rey Mysterio with the Agayo Jr. Unfortunately, he passed away from a cardiac arrest, but these are all things that happen in wrestling. Nobody has ever said that these people are dangerous and should be out of wrestling, but I've seen that a lot on Twitter, is this whole fire Nia Jax thing, and she's reckless and dangerous. What about the women who are reckless and dangerous on this roster, like Sasha Banks, who continually puts herself in dangerous positions, who is going to be, mark my words, and we talked about this before, Jenna, she won't be wrestling into her 30s. It's not possible. With the way that she works and presents herself and allows herself to be subjected to, I'll say, it's brutal what she allows herself to be subjected to. There's no way that we're going to see her wrestling into her 30s. So for every 50 people that are talking about Nia Jax, nobody's talking about the underlying problems in women's wrestling. And we talked about this way long ago when we first discussed the WWE Evolution card in itself, Jenna, is the fact that now they're giving these women a lot more time than they're used to. They're not preparing them for 20-minute matches, and you're seeing the results of such.
Bingo. He said it.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
But, you talk about how our talent got our talent didn't get into trouble for being unsafe. Our talent are guides, and now the females are getting they're getting blamed for being kind of too tough in the ring. I think all of that's going down to sexism, because these females, they see that the female cannot wrestle as good as the guy is. So now when a female makes a mistake in the ring, you say, okay, they are bad, they are crap, they can't wrestle. You know what I mean? So I feel like some wrestling fans see women differently in the male talent, and it just boils down to sexism. Like, they're sexist. A lot of wrestling fans are very sexist. That's a fact.
That is an incredibly nice thing to hear a man say. It's so nice to hear a guy say that, Jimmy, because when I say it, I just get called, oh, you're just being a feminazi. But you're right. You're right. There are so many, it almost seems like when a woman makes a mistake, everybody's ready with the frickin' pitchforks. Like, she sucks, fire her. All women's wrestling is garbage because she slipped. And you're right. A lot of times it's like they're ready to just burn the whole thing to the ground over a win on any given episode of Raw. You kind of see Seth Rollins. What about Seth Rollins hurting Sting? What about Seth Rollins? you know?
I want to talk about that right now because that's a point I was just about to make. So I had seen on Twitter today that somebody went out of their way to put all of Nia Jax's botches on Raw in a big GIF train, and it's not many, it's like 5 or 6, but they're obviously trying to illustrate a point. Their narrative, not the actual what's going on, but their narrative that she's unsafe. What about in the same 12 months, not calendar year wise, but 12 months, you have Seth Rollins end Sting's career and almost end Finn Balor's career, because remember that same buckle bomb maneuver that he ends Sting's career with, he separates and destroys Finn Balor's shoulder with the night that he won the title, and then he has to vacate. And then he was gone for 6 or 8 months. I didn't see any GIF trains about Seth Rollins hurting people, or Tyler Black, same person. Shit happened in Ring of Honor too, but I didn't see any shit like that.
You know what? You know why though? Because it's the favorites, you know? That one, it's the favorite, right? So that happens, you know?
Oh, I agree. 100% it is favoritism, because he's the, and Jimmy uses this thing all the time, he's the work rate fans guy, right? So they'll never say a bad word about him, but a big girl, and I'm not saying it in a derogatory way by any stretch, but you can't tell me that it makes sense that Nia Jax is going to work a 20-minute match against fucking Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch when she's got 100 pounds on them. Like, does not some of this come back on who is agenting and booking and putting together, or writing, or whatever the fuck they do in WWE, putting these matches together? Like, first off, she's probably never worked 20 minutes before, ever, right? And most of these women haven't, and that's not a knock on them. It's just, you know, they're used to be in the popcorn matches.
Given the opportunity, yeah.
Exactly. So now you are, but who's helping them work that 20 minutes? Or are they just saying, here, go out and do this, and who the fuck is ever going to remember that?
Exactly, right?
Well, and something else, at this point, you know, with the men, there's, of course, shades of gray, but there is a 205 Live. There are people who are clearly in the tag team division. There are people who are in the Intercontinental title picture, the U.S. title picture. With the women, it's all just one big, and at this point, there has to start being a little bit of distinction. And I don't know what the answer is there, if there needs to be a Raw and a SmackDown Women's Champion, or if there just needs to be one standalone women's champ who could theoretically, work both shows. I've thought, and I've toyed with the idea of, what if we just had one women's champ and a women's tag team, or one women's world champion and one women's intercontinental champion. Like, at this point, there needs to be some differentiation, because you've got, theoretically, like, the way they're being presented is you've got someone like Lana and Nia and Bayley and Becky all being presented kind of the same way. And we all know that's not the case. There needs to be some differentiation and a little bit of hierarchical division, I think.
Jimmy, do you agree that there should be separation in the women's division? Like, there should be a women's mid card and a women's top tier?
Wow.
It's okay if you don't. It won't hurt my feelings. Go for it.
Okay, so
once again, I just want to preface this by it's not in a derogatory term, right? But I'm just saying, like, everybody can recognize that there's different levels of talent. So go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. Okay, so good question. I would say yes, because the talent size is big. They have a big roster of females, right? For example, the Impact Wrestling, they can't do a woman tag player. WWE can do that because they have a bunch of females that can actually wrestle, and they have a big size. So like Jenna said, did you have like a woman tag team title, or a woman intercontinental, or a woman something. Have some titles, but please use the talent. Use them. Don't have them do nothing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I feel like if you do bring a second title for that female division, they have to use the talent that they have. So that means they can bring some female from an NXT or bring some female from somewhere, but just using talent. Cause I feel like Bailey and Sasha can be a good tag team. I can't be a good female tag team. So we have some tag teams in that female roster actually work. You know what I mean? So it's like yeah, they can be a tag team if they want, but how they gonna use it? You know what I mean? They don't give people a title and then not use it. You know what I mean? Like, it means something.
To me, the only thing for myself is if you start having 4 or 5 different titles, maybe you water it down. But I agree that if you can't have 4 or 5 on each show, like that's obviously ridiculous. But if you have one women's champ, right, then one women's mid-card, whatever you want to call the title, champ, then one set of tag belts. I think that may be a way to go. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess if you have one title with that whole female roster, and then the people will go online and cry, "Oh, why does this show just have a title?" So it can bring up a bit of confusion, but whining about bitching. So it's like, I don't know what. I do agree.
Well, yeah, I understand. Like you're gonna
for one show, yes.
Like you can't please everybody, but we've just we just saw the effects of having too many women in the same tier. Like we all just saw it happen. So my argument to that would be, well, how is anybody going to either get better or want to be pushed to that next level if there's no next level to get to? If everybody's on the same playing field, nobody's going to get better.
Exactly. Yep. Like, look at Impact in the teen days. They had a female team division because they had a lot of talent, and the division actually worked until Hogan came in and cut it off. But anyways, if you can have one title for the 2 shows, you're gonna have the talent going back to back 2 shows. You know what I mean? It means something.
So the other thing that Jimmy had talked about, and I want to bring this up, is he brought up the Charlotte Flair situation. So obviously she's been named as the replacement to go against Ronda Rousey this Sunday at so I'm curious, and once again, send your hate tweets to @6_podcast. But is Charlotte Flair the new Hulk Hogan? And think about this for a second. She has been given every time one of the women gets hurt in a big match, put in Charlotte Flair, right? Every time there's a title switch, a big title switch, it's Charlotte Flair. Every time that there's the big match on the big stage, it's Charlotte Flair. Now, perhaps it's just coincidence, but tinfoil hat me, and I'm glad you said that, Jenna. To me, it's like this is drawing massive similarities between her run right now and Hulk Hogan's run in either WWF or WCW. Because every time something happened and there was a top spot that needed to be filled, it was Hulk Hogan. Right? Now, anytime that a top spot needs to be filled in the women's division, it's always Charlotte. I'm curious what you guys think.
Man, okay. In my opinion, I think that Charlotte is very talented, but she is also very overrated. Like, many people call her the GOAT. I did not see any GOAT in that woman. I think that the stuff that she does in the ring, I have seen that before from Gail Kim, okay? putting Charlotte to replace Becky was not a shocker. I seen it coming. But I was shocked that Becky was the one who said it. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I want to see Asuka versus Ronda Rousey. I feel like Asuka had toughness, had the submission style, and know how to wrestle a match. And she can beat Ronda. Legit. Like, Asuka is awesome. Like, Asuka can kick ass, you know what I mean? So it's like, damn, like, if we shot it again into a next big match. And not only that, like, Charlotte versus Asuka could be a WrestleMania match. Like, you're giving away to us way early, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, now you guys are giving some match that could have been from WrestleMania. And I feel like it's gonna be a match that we know that Charlotte might win.
What about yourself, Jenna? What do you think?
You know, you and I have talked about the whole Charlotte thing before, and the fact that she's already like a 7 times and has like 25 or 26 pay-per-view wins already is just, it's ridiculous. Like, I said it before, like, as soon as this girl hit the main roster, it was like they couldn't give her enough titles. Like, I half expected them to, like, bring the European title back and give it to her just to give her more gold, you know? It was just insane, the praise that they heaped on this woman. And, yeah, like Jimmy said, she's very talented, but she also botches, and her botches are scary and dangerous. They're not, like, slip-ups here and there. Like, she's botched a few times that I actually got truly fearful for the person that she dropped or hurt, because a lot of times I think she buys into her own hype a little bit, because a few times I've seen her go for something and when people botch, you're like, oh boy, she was going for a senton but she missed, or oh, she was going for this but she missed. A lot of times when Charlotte botches, not only is it a bad botch, not only is it dangerous and scary, but I find myself going, what the hell was she even trying to do? I don't even know what she was trying to accomplish. She just starts flinging herself around in there. And you can't be like that. And I do feel like they just, it's like they've gotten comfortable, like they know Charlotte is good enough. And so instead of giving someone else another chance, they're just like, I'll just give it to Charlotte. Just give it to Charlotte. Just give it to Charlotte. When they fed Asuka to Charlotte, like every podcast I ever do, I always say, I called that one as soon as Asuka came to the main roster. I said it. They're going to feed her to Charlotte at Mania. And that's what they did. And now you got Asuka losing to the friggin' Iconics while they hold pinkies and be obnoxious. You know, like, we've ruined Asuka, and in order to even get a believable, like, rivalry for Asuka and anybody, it's going to take building her back up, because they have just absolutely lobotomized that character. Like, she and Becky ought to be the female B team. You know, or not she and Becky, she and Bayley ought to be the female B team. Like, you know, they just completely lobotomized and destroyed our characters. Here we are, you know, 2 merch machines. People could have made $1 billion for you guys, but you turned us into cannon fodder, and here we are doing nothing. And yeah, I do. I think Charlotte has been given an opportunity after opportunity, and it's not that she doesn't deserve to shine, because she, again, we all agree that she's good. But it's at a point now, it's like, well, she is, but so are other people. Why does she get, like, the others don't get? I'm
not saying that she's a bad worker by any stretch of the imagination, right? But Hogan was a serviceable worker. I'm making the comparison. Like, I'm just saying that, to me, that's what this reads, right?
Absolutely. I completely get what you're saying here, and I completely see the analogy. I see it totally.
So if that one didn't get Jenna hot, I'm sure that this next, we'll say, wonderful topic that we have coming up will definitely do it. So, again, it came out in the news this week. I guess this is just a bad week for women's wrestling, but came out in the news that the Bella Twins challenged the Kardashians to a wrestling match. Now, hang on a second. The fucking Bella Twins? Who wrote this shit?
I love it. I love it.
What the fuck, Jimmy?
Really?
Yeah, I tell you why.
You're just hoping for a Kim Kardashian nipple slip, dude.
Yeah, that too.
At this point, if you want to see something on Kim Kardashian that she hasn't shown the world, she would literally have to swallow the camera.
No, because I feel like...
goddamn!
Tell me I'm wrong!
Personally, I hate the brothers. I hate them. But,
Alright, you're alright with
Well, he's redeeming himself now, Jenna.
Yeah, he is. Alright.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
But, Kardashians and the brothers do have an audience that's will watch wrestling. So that's a good thing. So if you can get when people watching WrestleMania, fine. I think for me, it's like seeing people that you don't like do kill each other. That's fine. Let me fight. Let me laugh. Let me laugh.
Let me laugh at him, okay.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people do call the brothers the Kardashians are wrestling anyways. So that the fake Kardashians have two sides. That's it. You know? It's money, right? So, well, it don't happen.
See, my whole thing about this is, we're gonna speak hypothetically here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
hypothetically speaking, this match has to happen at WrestleMania, right? Can we both agree? Can we all three?
Absolutely.
Right?
That's
So,
had to.
so this match is would hypothetically speaking again is gonna happen at WrestleMania. It's sure as hell not going to be in the pre-show. It's probably going to be somewhere in the middle, so you can keep eyeballs on the product, right?
Sure.
So this bumps something off the card, but like the fucking.
I don't know.
I might blow a gasket on this. The fucking. How do you know? How would it not? Are they going to do a fucking 10-hour show?
They did last year.
Oh well, God, yeah, and I fucking drank half of it and fucking was on my phone the other part of it because it was like, oh, what the fuck is this?
That's 8 hours. 8 hours of my life. I'm alive in 8 hours, yo. Nah.
Okay, on a serious topic here, did both of you watch the full WrestleMania last year, like top to bottom?
No.
Jimmy? No?
I couldn't.
Okay, Jenna didn't. Did you, Jimmy?
Hell no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Well, yeah. tell us how you really feel, Jimmy. But that's what I mean, right? Like, so you can go ahead and have a 8-10 hour show, but what talent suffers for this match to happen? Like that's my whole thing, right? Like I don't understand. See, this is where having too many titles now bites you in the ass, right? Because you have 2 women's champions, you have your NXT women's champ who's going to be fit somewhere on the card, probably on the pre-show, let's be honest here.
Sure.
So, for sure you have 2 women's title matches on WrestleMania. You conceivably have a 3rd women's match, whether or not it's a mixed tag or something. So, essentially, if you're going to be doing the... Just hang on, I may have to go to a different room. The fucking Bellas on WrestleMania on your main show, then they're taking a roster spot from somebody. Like you're not just gonna have that many women's matches on the show. Like you can't. It's just not feasible.
Honestly, I look at it like this. This is where the Bellas belong. This is what the Bellas should always do. They should always be the joke match, the not important match. the fluff match, you know. And this should be including entrances, a 6-minute match. Go out there, let everybody show off their store-bought boobie, let everybody, you know, shake what their plastic surgeon gave them for a few minutes. Make sure that Nikki promotes those tacky-ass, stay fearless stuff. Make sure she wears her snapback and make sure everyone buys their birdie, and make sure whichever one of the Kardashian, Jenner, Horowitz go out there, you know, promotes whatever cheap lipstick, threadbare clothes, or tacky hair extensions, whatever it is they're hawking at that time. Let everybody get their little 2 or 3 minutes of shine in. Ding, ding, ding. Bye, bitches. You know, that's how I see it.
So,
like, that match, it's not like anyone expects any of those four to put on a barn burner of a match. It really is just a, hey, look how big doctors can make boobs now. Ding, ding, ding.
And then hope nobody busts an implant, or hope maybe somebody does, but... Or in Jimmy's case, hope for a wardrobe malfunction.
Busted hers. Shoot,
oh yeah, goddamn. Yeah.
It was like, damn, Charlotte, you went like 2 cups bigger. Okay, homie, I see ya.
Well, that's like China back in the day. How many did she go through? Mind you, China was a little bit more, we'll say, physical in the ring, but...
Dude, plastic surgeons invented a new kind of implant based on China. Like, no kidding. There is an entirely new size and shape implant that was created for China, and it was based on her body type. It's for body, like all bodybuilder women nowadays. Like, as a matter of fact, I have a friend, shout out to Alyssa, who is a bodybuilder, and she just got her boobs done. That's what she said. She got the China specials. How crazy is that? Yeah.
Ninth wonder of the world. So fucking, yeah.
China's legacy.
Well, yeah, because sure as hell they're never going to put it in the Hall of Fame, which is a fucking joke, and we'll have to have that conversation.
Her at Evolution, like they couldn't do like a tiny little.
She should have got some kind of a video package.
Yeah, she
would have been so hard.
She's the only woman ever in the history of the company to hold a man's title. She held the Intercontinental title, regardless of what anybody thinks of that run. She still did it.
Yep. And you know, she held that because at one point she was in consideration to hold the world title. She never held it, but the fact that she had built herself up enough and gotten herself up, over enough that McMahon considered it, that speaks to volumes.
Okay, so I gotta ask, because we're a bit off topic here, so I'm gonna circle us back. So and once again, we're talking hypothetically. I'm gonna ask Jimmy first. And I don't know any of these fucking people, so you guys have to forgive me, but if we have Bellas versus Kardashians, what 2 fucking members of that family do you put in the ring, Jimmy?
Chloe.
Kim and Chloe?
Yeah.
What do you have to say, Jenna? What do you think?
The 2 biggest money makers in the family, you do Kim and Kylie.
Ah.
Kim and Kylie are well, I mean, Chloe's built like a linebacker. She could really hurt somebody.
Oh yeah, and then everyone's gonna say she's unsafe and she shouldn't be in the ring. And what'd you guys do? Like, I can already see it now. The internet fanboys, I can already see crying tears that you could float your computer paper down.
But actually, like the two biggest money makers in the family are by miles Kim and Kylie. However, Kylie just does not have the personality. She has all the personality of bird shit on a car window. Like, just not. I mean, you can tell she got pulled out of school at 9 years old. That girl couldn't speak intelligently with a gun to her. Like, that's so lit, babe. Just trying to listen to her talk makes me want to cry for the. But theoretically, that's your biggest moneymaker. Kylie Cosmetics is on par to be worth $1 billion within the next 8. They just got on at Ulta Cosmetics. Like, seriously, Kylie is right behind Kim as like the biggest bread earner. As far as personality, Courtney would never do it because Courtney does nothing. It would probably be Kim and Chloe to do it because Chloe's one of those, now that she's lost a lot of weight, she wants to be in front of a camera as much as possible. So I'm pretty sure Chloe would walk a red carpet for an envelope opening if it got her some pictures in us. So I guess Kim and Chloe, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, I'm not 100% sure they would accept.
We can agree that the mom would run the promos, right?
Oh, of course, yes.
Jimmy?
Well, do you mean like the mom, or do you mean Caitlyn?
No, like the mom.
The momager.
Yeah. No, hey, there's another thought. Well, that the fucking Caitlyn's easily the most athletically gifted of the females.
Who?
Caitlyn?
Bruce Jenner, the dad who is now Caitlyn. Yeah. The only thing is, none of them really had. I think Kendall and Kylie, of course, because he's actually their dad. But I don't think any of the Kardashians actually have anything to do with Caitlyn anymore.
Oh.
Because when she published her biography, she really, really badmouthed Chris a lot. And the girls took real exception to that. So, understandably so. But the thing is, I know the Kardashians are money and fame whores and will literally stand in front of anything with their name on it, make a little money. And if I'm not mistaken, Kim Kardashian has made an appearance at a WrestleMania before.
Yes, she did. She hosted.
She did, right?
Hosted.
What year was that, Jimmy? Do you remember?
God, it had to be like, what, 08, 07, 08, 09? Way back.
Was it before 2010, Jimmy?
Say again?
Was it before 2010? Like, it wasn't past that, I don't think.
No.
No, it had to have been in the reasonable aftermath of the sex tape hitting.
Well, yeah, because you got to capitalize on that. Throw the Google machine, yeah. So obviously, this whole match is obviously the premise of this whole thing is both entities have the E network series, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Like I know the Bellas. Do they still have their own show or no?
Kim Kardashian appears at WrestleMania 24.
So we're in 35 now?
So that was, what, 08?
Yeah.
Was that 08?
07, I think.
Yeah, that makes it 07.
Yeah.
So
but
there you
that
go.
was, my guess, was 07, because that was right around the time that the sex tape hit, and blew up, when she was dating Reggie Bush from the Saints. So that would be about right.
So I wonder how much of this is, or if any of this is pushed from the E network, because they both have the shows, right?
Yeah, I've thought that too. And I mean, anyone with eyes can see, and that's why I call them the Belladashians. You know, Nikki and Bree so desperately want to be Kardashian. That's what they want the Bella name to be. That's why they have that stupid Birdie Bee clothing line. That's why they have their Bella Radici. That's why they have all these little crap businesses, is because they are trying desperately to market themselves as being like the Kardashians. And I don't know if 10 years ago, I think Kim and Chloe would have accepted it. Now, I don't know that they're not above it. And I hate to say it like that, but I think the Kardashians are significantly above the Bellas. And doing this thing with Nikki and Brie Bella would almost be slumming for them. I mean, we're talking about people who headline and get followed at the Met Gala every year. Why would they want to wrestle with these two Nimrods? You know?
Photo ops. That's what I can see of it. Because think of it this way: could you? And I know that family probably has as much money as the entire WWE does, but the marketing machine. More. Well, yeah, but the marketing machine of the WWE, I think we can all agree is something that like nobody markets more than they do. So could you just imagine what they would do with just the photos from that? Would be incredible.
Oh God, I'm sure Vince McMahon spooched himself 17 times. Jesus Christ, all the fake titties. Oh yes, I'm sure. And you're right. Like, I'm underestimating their hunger for camera flashes, and you can imagine the kind of money that Vincent Kennedy McMahon would throw at the Kardashians. You know, just millions. And again, it's just one of those things, like, think how crooked this is. All that money made from the Saudi Arabia shows where they do not want women to be a part of it, that money comes back and goes right into the coffers of the Kardashians. Isn't there a weird poetic
what a fucked up thought,
that?
hey?
Isn't there like a weird, twisted poetic justice in that, though? Like, oh, you think all women are whores? Well, so you!
Ha ha ha! Get him in the ring, pal! So, I guess,
Botox and get your saline, bitches.
yeah.
Pump those titties up and shake them.
So, I assume, Jimmy, hypothetically, this match happens, you're watching this match, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't get a more wholesome response than that. Oh, yeah.
Jimmy, you're... Oh, my God. And then everybody wonders why I talk to Jimmy all the time.
Jimmy is every red-blooded man's reaction to it. Would you watch the Bellas and the Kardashians? Hell yeah. And there you go.
Would you watch a Jenna if that was a match?
Oh, God, yes. For someone as salty as I am, I'll be holding a magnifying glass up over my laptop screen looking for something to mock. Are you kidding me?
I'd be looking at it like it's the whole car crash scenario.
Absolutely.
For
and
me,
Vince
right?
McMahon's not stupid. He knows that. He knows that there are female fans like me who detest it, but he also knows that I'm going to watch it just to hate it.
Well, and then he also knows that there's, 500,000 guys like, period.
Oh God, nip slip. Please,
Yeah.
God, nip slip. Oh,
And I'm not lumping you in that one, Jimmy, at all. Don't get me wrong, brother, but I'm just saying, like, you can kind of play all sides of this. If again, hypothetically speaking, that's the direction that they go.
Right.
Not though.
Well,
not saying you're one of those pervs, Jimmy.
no,
but,
of course
yeah.
not. Jimmy's
I'm not saying you're
a
that
fine,
way.
upstanding young man
No.
in the Big Smoke, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I've seen his social activities. He's a fine young man.
Thank you.
Strapping young lad.
All right,
Fine
so
young man.
I think we can kind of put a bow on the Kardashian situation. Jimmy, any last words on the Nia Jax unfortunate situation?
She's a big girl. Big girl hit hard. Becky took it like a champ. Becky didn't complain. Becky took that blood and said, "This is my horse," and that's it. Like, Becky took that punch like a champ. Yeah, Becky is a man. She's a man. They cry about it. She don't cry about it, right? So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Nia Jax had to be more trained better. But like I said, she's a big girl. Big girls do hit hard, and Becky took it. So that's it.
Jenna, how about yourself? Any last words on the Nia Jax situation? If I didn't lose Jenna?
Oh, no, Jenna's here.
I'm sorry, like, I didn't mean to just, like, bust up there, but for some reason, like, I completely disconnected and was panicking. All right.
That's
I'm here.
funny.
Hey.
Yeah, just wondering if you have any last thoughts on the Nia Jax situation. Or maybe that was your cue and you're like, I got nothing fucking else to say about this. I'm out of here, boys.
Oh, No, I would never. No, I'm kind of at a wait and see point. I want to see where this goes. If it becomes like a really good storyline, and I like the way Becky's handling it. I just also want to add that Becky on Twitter is amazing.
Oh yeah, she throws flames.
Yeah.
Just earlier before we started this, she tweeted out the Ronda Rousey Funko Pop doll and jokingly wrote her name on it like Andy from Toy Story and said, just in case you get lost so everybody knows who your ass belongs to. Like, oh God, it's so good. I'm just ready to see, I don't know, I'd like to see Becky beat the dog shit out of Nia, honestly.
I feel like we should have gotten this side of Becky a long time ago.
Yes.
Like, I know, like, Triple H, I know what you're doing, Stephanie. I know what you're doing, but you should have gotten this side of Becky years ago. Like, she could be a top heel. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, damn, like, it took so long to let Becky be herself.
I'll tell you one thing, I'm looking forward to the merch. Because goddamn, if they don't capitalize off this, then they're fucking more ridiculous than I ever thought they were.
Yeah, I won't be shocked. Come on, that picture of Becky with the blood on her face, man, that shit looks sexy, yo. that shit got my dick hard. I can't fuck, but yo, Becky,
Ah! Jimmy's unbelievable.
Outstanding, sir. I love it.
So for more enlightening comments like that, Jimmy, where can people find you?
On social media, dig at twitter.com.
So at Jimmy Dig on Twitter. And Jenna, where can the fine people find yourself? And Jenna left the building again. She was like, you know what? Jimmy's talking about dicks getting hard. I'm fucking out of here. Oh, well, that's good timing. Anyways, you can find Jenna on
Nikki Bella theme songs.
Oh, there you are. You're back. You cut out big time there for a second again.
Yeah, I think it's just my Bobo internet.
Okay, we'll start.
Live in the sticks. We've had terrible weather lately. There we go. My dog was laying on my signal booster. That might have been part of it.
Okay, give me the whole promo from the start. Where can they find you?
All right, you can find me on YouTube at Jenna Lee's Beauty Slam. You can find me on Instagram at Miss_Jenna_Lee and Jenna Lee's Beauty Slam. On Twitter, I am Miss Jenna_Lee. And on Snapchat, I'm Cute Cat Lady. Come hang out with me. I swear I'm a blasty blast.
So, if you're not following any of them, shame on you! Goddamn, get on it! If you're not following me, again, what the fuck's wrong with you? But you can follow me on Twitter at 6_podcast. Once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. That would be youtube.com/c/six-sided podcast. And as well, you can also look for the Six-Sided Podcast on anywhere that you find, steal, trade, barter, borrow, steal, trade, whatever the fuck. I'm running out of adjectives, but find the Six-Sided Podcast anywhere that you find your other podcasts that you download, listen to, and do otherwise with. Maybe not the same things that Jimmy does to things, but if you like to enjoy giving a podcast listen to, I highly suggest it. Jenna and Jimmy, thank you guys very much for joining me tonight. I had a blast. I hope you guys did as well.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I'll have both of you on again. And so for my guests, Jimmy and Jenna, this is the Taxman, as usual, saying, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night, everyone.